she was apologizing. Caleb shrugged out of his coat and wrapped it around her without a word. He turned his body slightly, blocking her from the open plain, blocking her from shame. He carried her into the shade, set her down slow, and knelt so his eyes were level with hers. "Don't move," he said. "You're safe now." Her breath hitched. Safe was not a word anyone had used around her in years. As he examined the rope marks, careful and professional, she flinched again, the pain flaring sharp. "Please," she whispered. "The rope hurt me bad. Worse than the burns." Caleb stopped. His jaw tightened, not with desire, with anger. With restraint, with something old and dangerous. Someone had done this on purpose. Someone had tied that rope to humiliate, to punish, to break her. In the distance, dust drifted from the road back to Dodge City. Somewhere out there. The man who put her on that tree was still breathing free air. Caleb wrapped the coat tighter around her and stood. The town would talk. The town would twist this. The town would shock itself with lies. But the real question was simple. Would Maggie survive what came next? Or would the truth destroy them both before love ever had a chance to begin? Caleb did not take her straight into town. He knew better than that. Dodge City had a way of turning pain into gossip before sundown, and Caleb knew the difference between helping someone and handing them to a crowd. Instead, he guided his horse slow along the creek line toward the far edge of his ranch, where the barn leaned crooked and the wind carried more truth than voices. Maggie barely stayed conscious in his arms. Every jolt made her flinch. The rope burns throbbed, and the places where it had rubbed left her shaking, unable to steady herself. Caleb set her down inside the barn, closed the door halfway, and pulled a clean bucket of water. "You're all right," he said. "I'm going to fix what I can." She nodded, not trusting her voice. He worked careful. No rush, no staring, just hands that knew how to treat an injured animal, and a woman who had been treated worse than one. He cleaned the rope marks slowly. He'd seen injuries before, but this one came with a kind of cruelty that doesn't wash off with water. He used a salve made from tallow and herbs his late wife had taught him to keep. It smelled faintly of sage and smoke. Maggie clenched her fists when the pain flared. "It still hurts," she whispered. "Down there. Please." "It will," Caleb said. "But it needs time." That word again. Time. She let out a breath she had been holding for years. For the first time, no one told her to hurry. No one told her to be quiet. No one told her she deserved it. Outside. Hooves passed on the dirt road. Voices drifted close. Caleb stiffened. He pulled a blanket over her shoulders and stepped outside. Two men stood near the fence, pretending not to look. "Everything all right there, Hart?" one asked, with a smile that knew too much. "Fine," Caleb said. They glanced toward the barn door. One of them smirked. By the time they rode off, the damage was done. Back inside, Maggie saw the change in his face. "They saw me," she said quietly. "They saw nothing," he replied. But he knew the town would fill in the blanks anyway. Before the sun went down, Caleb sent a ranch hand with a note to Amos. Read, "No drama, just a request for a deputy who wasn't for sale." Later, when he rode into Dodge City for bandages, he felt eyes follow him. A whisper passed behind his back. Someone laughed. Someone else repeated a word they did not understand, but liked the sound of. By the time Caleb returned, Maggie was sitting up, wrapped tight, staring at the door like it might open and swallow her whole. "They're talking," she said. "Let them," he answered. She swallowed hard. "He won't let this go." Caleb met her eyes. "Then neither will I." Outside, the sun dipped low. Somewhere between the barn and the town, a lie was already running faster than the truth. And the question was no longer whether Dodge City would believe Maggie. It was who would reach her first when the story finally came knocking at the door. Caleb felt Dodge City watching him before he ever saw the street. The looks came first, then the whispers, then the smiles that pretended to be friendly, but were not. By mid-morning, everyone seemed to know he had a young woman on his ranch. Everyone thought they knew why. Maggie stayed inside the barn, sitting on a crate. wrapped in a blanket that still smelled like sea and leather. Every sound made her flinch. A horse snorting, a door creaking, footsteps on dirt. "He's coming," she said softly, without looking up. Caleb did not ask who. He already knew. Wade Doyle had a way of showing up when he smelled fear or profit, sometimes both. By noon, a rider appeared at the fence line, then another. Dust rose slow and deliberate, like a warning. Wade dismounted with a grin that had never meant kindness in his life. "There you are, Hart," he said, loud enough for anyone passing to hear. "Town's saying you picked up something that don't belong to you." Caleb stepped out of the barn and closed the door behind him. His right hand rested easy near his belt, where the old Colt hung low. Not a threat, just a reminder. "She's resting," he said. Wade laughed, not amused, not surprised. "Funny thing," Wade went on. "Town's already shocked. Folks say they heard her begging, and they're filling in the blanks the way they always do." Caleb took one step closer. "Say her name again." Wade raised his hands like he was calming a skittish horse. "Easy now. I'm just here to take my sister-in-law home." He said it sweet, but his eyes were the same eyes that had put her on that tree. Maggie heard every word through the thin boards. Her stomach turned. Home had never been home. She pushed herself up, pain and all, and opened the barn door. "I'm not going anywhere with you," she said. The men along the fence shifted. This was better than a card game. Wade stared at her, then smiled wider. "You see that, boys?" he said. "She's confused, been listening to lies." Caleb did not raise his voice. "She stays." Wade's men shifted their boots in the dirt, waiting for Caleb to blink first. Wade didn't reach for a gun. He wanted a crowd more than he wanted a fight. Wade stepped closer. Too close. "You lay a hand on her," Caleb said, steady as stone. "And you won't use it again." That was when Wade shoved him, hard. Caleb stumbled once, then came back swinging. The punch landed clean. The sound echoed off the barn like a gunshot. Men shouted. Someone cheered. Someone ran toward town. Maggie covered her mouth. Not from fear. From something else. From seeing someone stand between her and the world without asking for anything back. Wade hit the dirt, wiped blood from his lip, and laughed again. "This ain't over," he said. "Town's already chosen what it believes." He mounted up and rode off, leaving dust and promises behind. Caleb turned to Maggie. "You all right?" he asked. She nodded, though her hands still shook. If you're enjoying this story, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. It helps more than you think. And while you're listening, pour yourself a cup of tea, get comfortable, and tell me something. What time is it where you are, and where are you listening from? Because the next move was not going to be made in the barn. It was going to be made in town, where lies travel faster than truth, and Wade Doyle was about to push this fight where no one could walk away clean. Caleb did not sleep much that night. After Wade rode off, the ranch went quiet in that uneasy way, like the world was holding its breath. Maggie sat on a bale of hay, blanket pulled tight, staring at the barn door like it might swing open on its own. "They'll come back," she said. Caleb nodded. "Not here." He saddled up at first light and rode into Dodge City with dust on his boots and purpose in his eyes. He didn't go to the saloon. He didn't go to church. He went to the one place in town where loud men suddenly get quiet. The little office beside the jail, where the justice of the peace kept his books. Inside, an old man looked up from a stack of papers and squinted. "Caleb Hart," he said. "You're early or late. Depends who's telling it. Name's Amos Red," the man added. "Sit down before you break something." Caleb didn't sit. "That girl," Amos said. "Folks are saying all kinds of foolish things." "Folks weren't there," Caleb replied. "You want the truth, you'll get it from the only person who lived it. I've buried enough good people because folks looked the other way. Not again." Amos leaned back, chewing on that. "You bringing her into town?" he asked. "Because if you do, you better be ready. This place loves a clean story. And the truth is usually muddy. Caleb's mouth tightened. Then I'll bring mud. He left the office with a simple plan. Get a deputy to get a statement, get it on paper before Wade could twist it again. On the street outside, two women paused their shopping and stared like Caleb had grown horns. A man tipped his hat and smirked. Someone whispered that word again, the one they'd turned into a joke. Caleb ignored them. Then he saw Wade. Wade stood across the street, leaning easy against a post like he owned the town and everything in it. Beside him was a clean-dressed stranger with a flat smile and polished boots. Not a ranch hand, not a farmer, a paper man.